This is ABC 15 Mornings.
Well, Iran is now taking responsibility for shooting down a Ukrainian aircraft that killed everyone on board. The president calling it a disastrous mistake.
The numbers don't lie. Operation Safe Roads taking action for neighbors who live near a dangerous intersection. What you can do if you have concerns in your area.
And how does the Bird Gang stand up to other fans? New numbers on how many fans packed State Farm Stadium this season.
Interesting. That'll be a curious look. But first, boy, we've got to show you this. Did you catch the first full moon of the new year? Isn't that gorgeous? That doesn't even look real. Our Cliff Castle chopper actually getting that up-close look at what is called the wolf moon. It was howling for us last night.
That doesn't even look real.
No, it really doesn't. And you know, in some views, like when you're coming, if you're heading west on the 202 and you start looking towards downtown Phoenix, it seems to sit right over the city skyline there. It's
so
just
pretty.
Stunning, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, so if you're going out today, what are we going to expect? Nice weather?
So you noticed that we had a
jacket.
very clear view of that moon. There wasn't a cloud blocking it at all. More of that today, but that also means that our temperatures are chilly out there this morning. And we've got cooler mornings ahead. The afternoons, they're going to be cooler as well, but we're going to have plenty of sunshine. So it's actually going to be a gorgeous weekend in store, I believe, just a little bit cooler. So if you are someone who likes to get out, get your run in early, notice that even through the 8 o'clock hour this morning, we're going to be in the 30s. So you are going to need those layers and those longer sleeves today. By 9 o'clock, we're still just in the 40s. I'll talk about what our warm-up does look like for this afternoon, though. That's coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thank you, Nohe. New developments from overnight. Iran now admitting to shooting down a Ukrainian plane they say that they thought was a threat. In a statement from the president of Iran, he said, in part, that in the atmosphere of threats and intimidation of the invading regime of the U.S., our armed forces were at 100% readiness. He went on to say the country is deeply sorry for the disastrous mistake. All 176 people on board that flight were killed. As tensions continue to escalate between the U.S. and Iran, U.S. officials announced new economic sanctions against the Middle Eastern country. The sanctions come as a result of the Iranian attack on U.S. and allied troops in Iraq in retaliation for a U.S. strike that killed one of Iran's top generals. But some members of Congress are still questioning whether the attacks were truly imminent. So new this morning, President Trump now says that 4 embassies were potentially being targeted prior to the U.S. killing that Iranian general. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo dismissed criticism that the administration failed to back up its decision.
We had specific information on an imminent threat, and those threat stream included attacks on U.S. embassies.
Well, lawmakers say that they were never told about plots on U.S. embassies during a closed-door briefing with Trump's top aides. In the meantime, Democrats passed a resolution that would limit any future military action against Iran without congressional approval. Our continuing coverage of the tensions between the U.S. and Iran does not stop. Coming up in the next half hour, we're learning more about the investigation underway in that deadly Ukrainian plane crash. And we're learning more about the victims. As always, you can stay up to date with everything on abc15.com or our mobile app.
Let's bring it back here closer to home now. A problematic intersection in Phoenix has neighbors sounding the alarm to city officials. Just in the last week, 2 children critically hurt at 43rd and Peoria in 2 separate crashes. But when ABC 15 dug deeper, we learned there have been 183 crashes at this very intersection just in the last 5 years. The city agrees that number is above average, and after conducting road safety assessment, the city does plan to improve left turn visibility. The Street Transportation Department says changes like that can be put forth to any intersection, in fact, that people deem to be a problem.
You call, it does lead to change. No guarantee that, say, hey, it needs a new signal here, we're going to do that. It's all dependent on funding and evaluation criteria, but we do look at and evaluate everything that comes our way.
And certainly they thought this one was important and a change needed to happen. Officials also emphasize that driver error and ensuring that you are driving safely also factor into keeping our intersections safe as well.
There's a wrong way driver heading southbound on the northbound lane on I-17.
Boy, this is such a terrifying thing to see and have to call in. Now we're hearing 911 calls and getting some new details from a wrong-way scare back in September that ended near New River. If you were driving north of the valley, you might remember this one. A driver was traveling 37 miles in the wrong direction. That's how far he made it along the I-17 before he was finally stopped. According to a new DPS report, troopers found several empty beer cans in the bed of Andrew White's truck, as well as several unopened cans in the cooler that was sitting right in the back seat. White also had a blood alcohol content that was twice the legal driving limit. Thankfully, they were able to stop him before he crashed or caused any other injuries.
Now to surprise were suspected bank robbers on the run this morning. The cameras, look at this, getting a very clear look at his face. Police say that this man walked into the Bank of America near Bell and Grand and then robbed the place. He didn't have a weapon, though. He then took off in a light blue Toyota Sienna. We're also getting new details this morning on a former Valley priest accused of sexual abuse. ABC 15 digging into a civil case against Father Jack Spalding from nearly a decade ago. It accuses him of sexually abusing a 13-year-old boy back in the 1980s. David Payne's sister says that her brother's life took a downward turn after that, said he later died after being shot during a drug binge. Payne's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit and the church settled. Well, the sister says they've waited nearly a decade to see criminal charges.
I wish it would have done much sooner. It's been a long, long time. But I know that there is a little bit of peace for my family and for those other victims, certainly.
Well, in the recent indictment, it is for the alleged abuse of two boys between 2003 and 2007. Spalding was a priest at St. Gabriel's Catholic Church in Phoenix and St. Timothy's in Mesa.
Now, this next one is just really awful. It's a deadly shooting south of the border, and the shooter is just 11 years old, opening fire on his teacher and fellow students using two guns.
Well, that teacher was killed, several students wounded. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas with the details.
Horror at a Mexican elementary school with stunned parents experiencing the same kind of gun violence we routinely see here at home. Authorities there claiming an 11-year-old sixth grader fatally shot his teacher and wounded 5 other students before killing himself. The governor of the state of Coahuila telling reporters the student told a classmate, quote, "Today is the day," before asking permission to go to the restroom. He allegedly came out of the bathroom 15 minutes later, brandishing 2 guns, firing away. Then the all too familiar images, the wounded carried away on stretchers, ambulances racing away, shaken parents reuniting with children.
No clear word yet on motive. The student apparently had no history of behavioral problems, but the governor said he may have been influenced by a video game. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington.
Across Arizona now, the Trump administration is touting the 100th mile of border wall since the president took office. It's said to be located near Yuma. The area is now seeing fewer migrants in the recent months. Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf says that the administration is going to continue to build more than 400 miles of the wall by the end of this year. A former state representative who resigned amid controversy wants another high-profile job. David Stringer just announcing his candidacy for Yavapai County Attorney. Now, you might remember Stringer stepped down last March when he was confronted with a Baltimore police report showing that he was accused of paying boys for sex back in the 1980s. Stringer has denied those allegations.
The West Nile virus had quite the year in Arizona. Maricopa County health officials say that there were over 150 human cases of West Nile in 2019. That's the most in more than a decade. Officials say the numbers may end up actually being higher as the county finalizes its report. 2019 was also the deadliest year for the West Nile virus in Maricopa County. 16 people died. All of them were over the age of 48. The virus was first introduced to Arizona back in 2003. Flu season does not seem to be getting any better as we look at the new numbers for 2020. According to the Arizona Department of Health Services, there's been more than 8,600 cases of the flu in our state. 1,500 of them are new cases, and this number is likely to increase because there's a large number of flu reports still being processed.
This is kind of a different type of health story for you this morning. The Phoenix Zoo giving us this behind-the-scenes look at the health checkup of one of their cheetahs. DeMarco is the first of the 3 cheetah brothers to get his exam. For big cats like DeMarco, the checkup every couple of years is normal, and the vets say he is in great shape. I know this is their job and what they do, but really, could you imagine having a big cat like that on the table?
You always hope that the anesthesia or whatever
It sure better.
Just.
But they even put little booties on his paws. That's so interesting to me. Fascinating behind the scenes look. We're grateful to them for that. Also, don't forget, speaking of the zoo, Zoo Lights is over in a week. You've got 1 week left. Those millions of lights are going to wrap up on January 19th. That's next week, Sunday. There are also hundreds of displays, and new this year, if you haven't checked them out, those big structures right there that you're seeing, those are the Wildlife Lantern Safari features. It features more than 60 creatures that are all lit up and glowing like that. So just adding another layer and something different for you to see. Look how intricate and gorgeous the artwork is, like on those elephants.
You know, I was talking to somebody at the zoo there, and they said that basically 5 people are in charge of the lights.
It's amazing how they pull it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them is a father-son duo, so it's a really personal to them to put it all together. So definitely worth checking out. And you know what? When you go out there, it's going to be dry. You don't have to worry about any rain. It's going to be nice. You're just definitely going to have to bundle up.
I was going to say it's going to feel like winter.
It will.
Our winter.
That's where we are. Exactly. It's definitely boots weather right now and heavy jackets. Right now it's 43 degrees in Phoenix, but we have several valley cities sitting in the 30s this morning. We've got a light breeze out there too, around 7 miles an hour, and that's making it feel even chillier this morning. But we've got a nice warm up on the way. We will make it into the 60s today, and with those sunny skies, I think it's really going to be great weather to get outside today, get some of that fresh air in your lungs, maybe hike one of the mountains around the valley and get a gorgeous view in. It's going to be a great day to do it. I'll show you when our temperatures will start to warm up just a little bit more to what we're used to. That's coming up in that full forecast.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals seeing a slight dip in attendance this past season. ESPN statistics show on average fans packed 94% of State Farm Stadium. That's just more than 61,000 fans per game. That's just down 700 folks from 2017. So it ranks the Cards 26th in the league when it comes to crowd size. The number one going to Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys. They average nearly 100,000 fans a game. Well, the NFL playoffs continue today with the divisional round. The Vikings take on the 49ers at 2:30, followed by the Titans and the Ravens at 6. And then tomorrow, the Texans and the Chiefs go head to head at 1 o'clock. And it all wraps up with the Seahawks and the Packers at 4:40 tomorrow night. Getting fit in 2020, our next guest is showing us the top diets this year and which one might work best for you.
You know, we're all trying something out, right? It is also a sign of the season. Tickets for spring training going up for grabs soon. We're going to let you know when to start planning that out. And also, we're going to have a look at those weekend closures in the valley. There are quite a few of them, so we're going to break it all down for you because some could put a delay in some of your plans. We're back with more in just moments. Stay with us this morning, Arizona. All right, let's talk about that most accurate forecast on a Saturday. Everybody with big plans. The kids need to unwind after that first week back at school.
And maybe you just need to go for a hike. Just go out there or just walk around the neighborhood.
Absolutely. I have a feeling when we get off work today, when we start to drive home, there are going to be bicycles galore out there and everybody out with the dogs because I think it's going to be really nice. You've just got to be ready for the sting of the chill that's going to be in the air. So let's take a look at clouds and radar right now. You can see we did have a few high passing clouds overnight up in the high country, more so north of the rim. Here in the valley, though, we have been staying clear. We had those few clouds move in that storm system a couple of days ago, and then that cleared out really quickly by yesterday morning. And so with that clearing, we haven't had a chance to get warm at all. So our temperatures have plummeted this morning. We're down to 36 in Chandler. It's 38 in Mesa, just a degree warmer than that in Glendale. Goodyear also in the upper 30s this morning. So it's a chilly start as you head out. Up in the high country, it is bitterly cold this morning. In Sedona, the temperature is in the 30s right now, but it actually feels like it's in the mid-20s because of that wind chill factor. Payson, 28 degrees, but it feels like 23. And then we are in the teens in Show Low this morning, single digits in Flagstaff, just 9 degrees there. Window Rock sitting right around 1 degree, although it's been colder than that this morning. And we've got 30s across southern Arizona. We've also got a few light breezes. Phoenix around 7 miles an hour this morning. Kingman now picking up a few more breezes around 10 miles an hour. So that's also making it feel colder than it actually is this morning. Here's how we warm up in the valley this afternoon. We're going to stay chilly for much of the morning here. In fact, we're not even going to make it into the 40s until about 9-10 o'clock this morning. We'll be in the 50s through the lunchtime hours, and then later this afternoon we make our way into the 60s and we stay in the low 60s today. I think 62 is our forecast high. That air quality is in the moderate range to start off this morning because of the inversion layer. It traps all of the particulates here in the valley, but then it will start to clear out this afternoon. So if you have sensitivities to breathing issues, maybe you want to wait on that hike until later this afternoon when we drop back down into the good category. And then after sunset, it goes back up to moderate. Futurecast showing us we've got clear skies statewide all weekend long here. We don't expect any more snow to fall in the high country or along the rim. We did get some yesterday, so we think that's done, and now you just get to enjoy the pretty views up there. Forecast highs in the north portion of our state, 38 in Flagstaff, 40 in Page and Window Rock, low 40s in Show Low. Safford staying in the 50s, as well as Globe. We're in the upper 40s in Sedona, low to mid 60s along our western border, 66 the forecast high in Quartzsite. Here in the valley, our highs are going to stay in the low 60s for pretty much everybody. 61 in Peoria and Glendale, as well as Ahwatukee. 62 the forecast high in Mesa, Gilbert, and Queen Creek. Anthem and Cave Creek, you may not make it out of the 50s for today. So again, it's going to be sunny, it's going to be dry, but you're definitely going to need that sweater and jacket. We stay cooler heading into your Sunday, but again, still sunny, and the sunshine continues for the rest of that 7-day forecast. So eventually we'll warm our temperatures up into the upper 60s again, getting closer to that 70-degree mark early next week and staying there for the rest of the week.
No, hey, can you believe we're talking about spring training already?
No, it certainly doesn't feel like it outside.
Okay, well, in just a few hours, listen up, Cubs fans, because tickets for the Chicago Cubs spring training, they're going to go on sale. Doors open at Sloan Park in Mesa at 10 o'clock this morning. The Cubs' first home game is February the 22nd at 1:05. They're going to be taking on the Oakland A's. The Phoenix Suns teaming up with Valley Kids for a special show, and new this morning, we're getting a behind-the-scenes look at the big event.
Hey everybody, I'm Chelsea Davis and we're going to look at the weekend construction for you. We have a couple big ones heading through downtown Phoenix. I-10, if you travel eastbound between the I-17 stack over to the mini stack where you meet State Route 51 and the 202, the eastbound lanes are going to be closed Friday into Saturday. That's also impacting the ramps from I-17. So if you're traveling northbound or southbound, you're not going to be able to travel eastbound and connect onto that ramp. So what you should do for this is stick to the main lanes of I-17 as you're traveling southbound around the Durango curve over to the split, and you'll be good to go. You won't be running into detours there. I-10 in the opposite direction, we also have construction. This will be Saturday into Sunday. So I-10, if you're traveling westbound from the split here up near the mini stack over to about 7th Avenue, that's going to be closed. So that's also going to impact the southbound ramp from the 51. If you're traveling from the 202, you will be able to make that connection westbound onto I-10, but they're forcing you off at 7th Street. So again, you're running into those detours. I-17 to the rescue again. You can use that as you're traveling in that westbound direction around the Durango curve up to the split or up to the stack, and then you can either travel onto I-10 or stick to the main lanes of I-17 depending on where you're headed and where you're coming. So I-17 is also going to be a good option for you to take if you need to travel getting closer to Sky Harbor. This is just a heads up for you. Sky Harbor Boulevard westbound ramp to westbound I-10 will be open, but you will only be able to access the northbound State Route 51 or eastbound 202. So again, you could run into some restrictions there. Just plan ahead extra if you need to catch a flight. Also in the East Valley, I-10 eastbound ramps, or southbound if you're traveling that way and trying to make that connection onto westbound Loop 202 South Mountain, we're looking at that closure as well. And that's going to be lasting through Sunday at 10 p.m. So if you need to travel nearby, exit sooner, take Chandler. You can go westbound. Once you get to 40th Street, go southbound. That gets you back on the 202 South Mountain, and you're not running into big delays. There are other construction zones that we're going to see that they are more minor. Northbound I-17 at Happy Valley, you're going to see that down to 1 lane. You're also going to see some on on-ramps and off-ramps impacted at Loop 101 near Guadalupe and Elliott. And then between the 51 exit and getting closer to Cape Creek, you're also going to see some restrictions, mostly in the eastbound direction. That's going to be down to 3 lanes. That's a construction zone that you guys have been used to for a while now. Don't worry, this was a lot of info. We're going to put it online for you. So just go to abc15.com/traffic and have a safe and wonderful weekend.
Okay, so it's the new year. A lot of folks are making that New Year's resolution to lose weight, to get healthy. So we're going to help you with that this morning. We have Vivian. She is a wellness dietitian with Banner Health. We're talking about 3 specific diets this morning, and you brought food to represent each diet. Which ones are we talking about?
So today we're talking about the ketogenic diet, the paleo diet, and then the Mediterranean diet.
Okay, so we're going to start here. This is the keto diet right here. It looks good. Bacon, eggs.
It does, and it is on fire right now. Every patient and their relatives are asking me about the keto diet. And at happy hour and everywhere else, everyone says, what do you think? What should I do keto? And it is super popular for weight loss, and it does actually promote quick weight loss. It has grains cut out, no bread, no pasta. It has a lot of fruit cut out. You're pretty much cutting out most of your carbohydrate sources.
But is it the right choice?
No, I don't recommend it, because even though it promotes quick weight loss, you're losing out on really healthy fiber. Any diet that cuts out fruits and vegetables is not a good diet by a dietitian in my book. And it's also going to limit your ability to get in like all of the micronutrients that you need, all of the electrolytes that you need, without being really carefully formulated.
So this one right here, you said that this is actually, these two right are the ones that you advise.
Yes, I would say if someone's looking for maybe a little bit of a jump start to their weight loss, they start with paleo. This is a chia seed pudding we have here with some fruit. It's got some coconut flakes in there, and this is something you could make overnight, and it's got that fiber. It's got heart healthy omega-3s. It's got your protein, and then you're still getting lots of fruits and vegetables in. You just aren't having the cake, cookie, bread, and pasta.
And then you said that you can switch over here. Is this the Mediterranean?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So you can switch over. I think people get really stuck on just identifying with one diet, with saying, you know, this is what I'm doing and this is the only thing I'm doing. But with paleo, with Mediterranean, you could do both. You could stick to a mainly paleo diet, and then you could flex over to Mediterranean or vice versa, depending on what your weight loss needs are. That's another limiter with keto, is you want to stay in ketosis, which is this fat burning state instead of the carbohydrate burning state.
So I just want to ask you really quick, we were talking about yo-yo dieting, and you said that that's bad.
It is. So yo-yo dieting can actually raise your natural body weight set point over time. So if you're gaining and losing the same 30 pounds over and over every time, it's going to be harder to lose weight. And it's actually going to raise that base weight that you start at. So it's better to just lose weight once and focus on maintenance.
Okay, there you go. A lot of good tips, Vivian. Thank you very much. And now I'm hungry.
I know. It looks good, right?
This is breakfast, yeah. All right, thank you very much.
This is ABC 15 Arizona.
Regrets and apologies from Iran after they admitted to accidentally shooting down a Ukrainian aircraft. What we're learning about the victims who were on board.
A new way to fight crime in our state and how a pin drop of DNA is helping capture violent criminals.
It's louder than it should be. It's louder than it was promised.
Convenient for some, certainly, but a nuisance for neighbors. Why ADOT says they're not going to be extending the soundproof wall along the new South Mountain Freeway. Why they're not going to do it, but people are still upset about it this morning. We say good morning to you. Coming up on 6:30 here on your Saturday, I'm Nohelani Graf.
And I'm Justin Pizzera. Thanks for waking up nice and early with us. If you want a beautiful day, you're in luck. You're just going to have to bundle up a little bit. Wear a sweatshirt.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a thicker jacket this morning,
Gloves,
or a nice sweater.
Scarf, hat.
You know, we're weak here. What are you going to do? You just got to own it at this point. So if you're going out early this morning, be prepared. Temperatures are in the mid-30s in some valley cities. We're sitting at 36 in Chandler. It's 37 in Goodyear. Upper 30s in Mesa and Glendale, while Phoenix is still sitting in the low 40s right now. If you want to get a hike in, you've still got about an hour hour before that sun comes up. So you'll get a gorgeous view because we've got those clear skies, but definitely going to need to bundle up. Even by midday, we're still in the mid-50s only, but I do think that we'll warm into the 60s here before we drop back down into the 50s for sunset this evening. More of the same heading into tomorrow. I've got the rest of that car washing forecast for you coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, No. Hey, we do want to get to a developing story now. A man shot during a carjacking. This happening near 35th Avenue and Buckeye early this morning. Phoenix police say that they are still looking for that suspect. Police telling us that they were called to the area near Lower Buckeye Road around 3 o'clock this morning, where they found a man with a gunshot wound. He was taken to the hospital where he is expected to survive, but investigators do not know at this point if the victim and the suspect know each other. Also in Phoenix, we are working to get an update on a 66-year-old man who was shot while he was being robbed. So according to police, a pair of teens, they were trying to rob him inside his car on Thursday. The man was later found critically hurt by his home near 7th Street in Roser. Police say that they arrested 2 teens, but they say they are still looking for 2 more who are also involved.
Really difficult news for one family here. A day on the job turning deadly for a worker in Tempe, killed in some kind of accident at work. This happened at DH Pace near Broadway and Hardy yesterday. That company makes large commercial doors. Our Cliff Castle chopper also flying over that business to give you the bird's eye view there. Emergency officials telling us that that worker was apparently moving some sort of a heavy object when it somehow fell and ultimately crushed him. When a case turns cold, law enforcement agencies all over the state are now turning to familial DNA. We've heard a lot about this because you can take those other, smaller range familial DNA tests like DNA and 32andU. And so the DPS Crime Lab is just one of 12 across the country that is now using this breakthrough technology.
And their successes continue to add up. ABC 15's Cameron Polum sat down with one of those folks on the front lines in this new crime-fighting tool.
It's a new frontier in the crime-fighting world, and Arizona is one of the few places it's happening.
I think when DNA first was in its infancy, you needed like a quarter size, and now it's less than a pin drop.
A pin drop of DNA to capture a potentially violent suspect. But when that DNA comes back from being processed without a match, that's when law enforcement agencies turn to Dawn Gingras with the DPS Crime Lab.
Relatives typically have similar profiles.
When Gingras is handed a DNA sample, she processes it against DNA samples taken from felons all over the state. The hope is to find a potential relative's DNA that may help reveal who the suspect from the unsolved crime may be.
Obviously, the next step is to go look at all the first order relatives and say, okay, what are we looking for here?
What they're looking for is if one of those relatives has any connection to the unsolved crime. Were they in the vicinity of the crime when it happened? Do they have a record? Do they know the victim? If things begin to add up, they'll try and get a DNA sample from that suspect. For years, police came up empty-handed in the search for who allegedly sexually assaulted and murdered 31-year-old Allison Feldman of Scottsdale. DNA from the crime scene was matched using familial testing in 2018 to the brother of Ian Mitchum, eventually leading to Mitchum's arrest. Then, in November, 34-year-old Xavier Williams was taken down for a 2014 deadly Tempe home invasion after familial evidence led police to him. And just last week, after nearly 2 decades, 58-year-old David Slade was arrested for sexual assaults in Arizona and Utah. For those pouring everything into this program, finding a match is thrilling.
I'm texting my boss right away. We got one.
And based on its success so far, they'll certainly be getting a lot more. I'm Cameron Polum, ABC 15 Arizona.
And detectives stress that they do not have access to public databases like Ancestry.com or 23andMe when searching for familial DNA.
But when it comes to those mail-in DNA services, one group is being told not to swab their cheeks. Members of the military. In the last few weeks, the Pentagon sent out a memo warning of personnel and operational risks for service members who use those DNA services. Now, it didn't say what the security risks could be, but there are some concerns that include biometric data and securing someone's identity through their DNA.
Two new pieces of video show the explosive end of the Ukrainian 737 crash in Iran. The military insisting overnight that it was unintentional, blaming human error for that missile that struck the aircraft, killing everyone on board. Among the 176 people killed, 63 Canadians, many of them students.
Everyone was in tears. All the students were in tears, all the faculty members, everyone.
So the black boxes from that wreckage have been recovered, and Iran has invited Western countries, including the United States, to come and investigate. The U.S. will be granted special waivers to take part in that investigation, but those investigators who are used to probing a debris field, instead they're going to find all that wreckage was removed 24 hours after the crash.
Now, the recent missile strikes in Iran are certainly nothing to take lightly, but it does seem that some here in Arizona might be using what happened as an opportunity. Back in November, we told you about a rare Cold War missile silo and nuclear shelter that sold near Tucson. Well, just last night, two more of those silos hit the market. One of the sites is in Benson, the other near Oracle. Each of them have thick blast doors that can apparently withstand a nuclear attack. One even has a shower inside, and city water services are included. The listing price for each location, $495,000.
Bright lights and a lot of noise. The new South Mountain Freeway added convenience for a lot of folks, but is now troubling for people that live nearby that new freeway. ADOT engineers were out in that neighborhood in Ahwatukee yesterday running key sound tests to measure how much noise from the new freeway is heard in that community. So it turns out it's still below the federal threshold.
It's 58 now, but what's it going to be in a year? What's it going to be, in a few months when more people start using it?
Well, ADOT saying that they are not going to be changing anything right now, but residents want more added to that sound wall before the problem gets worse down the road.
If you're out in the West Valley or you want to head that way, Glendale not ready to let go of the holidays just yet. Tonight, Glendale Glitters continues in downtown, but it's also wrapping up. The display features more than 1 million LED lights, some colorful hot air balloons that's so unique and beautiful. It is free. You just walk around downtown. The event will run from 4 this evening until 10. So if you haven't had a chance to get out there and you just want to catch that last glimpse, it's so much fun for the whole family.
You might want to bring some gloves, though.
Definitely.
Gloves and a hat.
You're going to have to stop somewhere, get some hot cocoa for the walk around. It's going to be cold. The temperatures right now this morning have gotten even cooler than when many of us went to bed last night. The good news is we've got clear, sunny skies. So if it's on your honey-do list this weekend to wash that car, then you've got the green light. Going ahead the next couple of days, we're going to have clear, sunny conditions. So definitely maybe you want to get it done so that you're driving around in a nice, shiny ride for the rest of the week. Your Valley planner for today, it's cool and in the 40s and even 30s this morning across the valley. This afternoon, we warm into the 60s, but we stay in the low 60s at that. So definitely still sweater weather this afternoon, but a gorgeous day on tap. I'll show you when we do start warming up a little bit more and closer to our average. That's coming up in that 7-day forecast. Tonight, Phoenix Suns players and kids are putting on a fashion show, and this is all to raise money for several Valley nonprofits.
It's a first of its kind event that we're told it is sure to please. ABC 15's John Genovese shares more.
You ready, man? We're gonna walk. We're gonna be fresh too.
It's a chance to give back to our community.
Oh, we're gonna pick out our clothes right now?
With a sense of style.
It is a runway show. Every Phoenix Suns player, plus our head coach Monty Williams, plus our general manager James Jones, will be walking the runway. They'll all be paired with a kid from a local nonprofit.
Suns Charities acting executive director Vince Kozar sharing these moments from a special meetup held last Saturday to prepare for tonight's show. The kids taking part come from low-income homes, are battling physical ailments, or overcoming other struggles.
Orange would be amazing, but his shoes are orange.
Players Kelly Oubre and DeAndre Ayton share a passion for fashion in their personal lives. The duo is co-chairing the event.
Yeah, I like that. That fit perfectly.
And we're told it's only fitting to bring these kids and their idols together off the court. A group ready for a night of fun and doing good.
The level of energy and the spirit that those kids brought to the event, and our players as well, on last Saturday, makes us know that this Saturday is going to be a really, really incredible thing.
In Phoenix, John Genovese, ABC 15, Arizona.
Chance for those kids to strut their stuff on the runway, I think, is going to be really cool, too. The event starts at 6 o'clock tonight. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. Tickets are $250.
Well, all the proceeds, though, they're going to benefit the Suns charities, which last year gave out $10 million to more than 150 Valley nonprofits. You can find more details on suns.com/riseinstyle.
Really having an impact, affecting that many charities. If you were trying to save some money this year, and who isn't, honestly,
attempting,
we've got our certified financial planner up next, who's going to show us 4 ways that you can do it.
So if you order a meal using a food delivery service, you know that there are some extra costs that you might pay for the convenience, but you may not expect what the Let Joe Know team found. This morning, Joe Ducey with questions about why some delivery services are charging you more for the food itself.
When you order food for delivery, you expect to pay more than you would at the restaurant, all those extra delivery fees. But paying more for the food itself? We found that as we compared prices at two popular restaurants, Rubio's and Panda Express, with menu prices from three popular delivery services, DoorDash, Postmates, and Uber Eats. Take the Panda Express 2-entree plate. At the restaurant menu price, $7.90. Through the DoorDash menu, same food, $9.55. Similar with Uber Eats and Postmates. At Rubio's, their California Bowl with chicken costs $8.49. Same through Postmates. But the menu price is $10.79 at DoorDash and $11.49 through Uber Eats for the same food and before paying anything extra for delivery. Now, delivery services do disclose it in their website fine print, like this from DoorDash. Prices for menu items displayed may differ from prices offered by merchants for the same menu items. It's unclear who gets that extra money. Postmates says sometimes prices will vary, including in-store versus online. Uber Eats says their food prices are set by the restaurant. But a spokesperson for Rubio says charges vary. They each have their own fee structure. What is clear, it really adds up. With our two orders, ordering 2 items each, we'd pay $30.78 at the restaurants before tax. Postmates would charge us $3 more. But at DoorDash and Uber Eats, our bill is a hefty $8 more than restaurant prices just for the food before all those delivery fees and taxes.
And since many of those extra fees are based on the food prices, they're also going to be higher. Now, what do you think? Any big deal here? Let me know on the Let Joe Know Facebook page. I'm investigator Joe Ducey. You got a problem? Let me know.
All right, thanks, Joe. And now we're starving this morning. All right, here's a final check of that most accurate forecast. It's going to be cooler today, so if you want to eat lunch outside, that's fine. Just make sure you're ready for those cooler temperatures in the low 60s today, staying in the low 60s for your Sunday. And then for the start of the work week, we warm into the upper 60s, getting a little closer to those 70s, which we're more used to. Clear, sunny skies all week long, though, until we get to Thursday. Then a few clouds move in, but we still stay dry.
I love it.
Bragging rights weather is here.
Yeah.
Well, remember, your news is always on abc15.com. We're back with more.